Good morning, writers. I hope that you're feeling great after a nice Thanksgiving break. Last week, we talked about first brainstorming ideas for a great story, and we went over this in class on Monday and Tuesday, actually, even the Friday before, thinking of small moments, places, events, issues, struggles, people that were important to us, first times, last times, and then finally, stories that we wish existed in the world. And we talked about writing fiction and how we can pull off of any of these ideas to come up with a potential plot. And then on Wednesday, we did this next step. We plotted several versions of our story. Some of us only got to one version, but we used the tool of an arc to try to map out our potential story. Whenever you have free time, I want you to look back at that arc and feel free to make changes, additions, scratch part of it off. The point is that the arc may keep evolving as you keep coming up with ideas to move your story along. Today, we're going to take the next step. We're going to try to bring these characters to life um, with traits, wants, challenges, self attitude, relationships. And the vehicle we're going to be using actually is we're going to test drive our characters. And in order to do that, we need to take our characters kind of off the grid, out of the plot, and to write them into an everyday scene. So a scene is basically a situation that the character's in that really could just be like a blip in your story. But scenes are small moments or mini stories in clear setting that is woven through the moment, have characters who are thinking, talking, acting, or perhaps doing all those things, and contain a character motivation and an obstacle of some sort. So that should be something that comes up in your story. So again, today I want to teach you, just as people take a car for a test drive before buying it, writers take their characters from a possible story out for a test scene. They place their characters in an everyday scene outside of the storyline and see how the characters move, see how the character thinks, see how the characters act. So that's the purpose of what we're doing today. All right, so if we go into our Google Classroom, you will see a few updates on our stream. To our stream. Sorry here. There we go. And the first thing you'll see at the top here is the everyday scene template, and that's where you're going to be writing your everyday scene. You're also going to see in the resources for our realistic fiction writing a few updates. First of all, you will see that character profile template that we looked at on Wednesday, and you should be looking at yours filled out right now. So if you want to refer to that, you can look at that. And then you're also going to see the model everyday scene. And this is what you're going to be trying to write, something like this. Of course, you get to pick whichever scene you want to write it in. So here's our scene with Jeff, and you should be familiar with Jeff's story. We talked about the arc on Wednesday. So here goes. This is Jeff's everyday scene. Jeff threw his left shoe against his bedroom wall. It hit with an echoing thud, and then, reconsidering his next move, he tossed the other shoe carefully into the pile of clothes half sticking out of his closet. I can't believe he didn't even call, Jeff thought to himself. It had been 3 days since he heard from Dad. It was Wednesday, and Wednesdays were now one of the days that he and his dad were supposed to be together. He ripped off his socks, leaning back into his bed. It cracked under the pressure, a swallowing groan that mimicked Jeff's frustrations. Jeff started to zone out for a second, staring at the soccer poster on his closet door. He remembered how awesome soccer had been last summer, his team losing only one game. He pictured himself running down the field, the smell of fresh cut grass, the howls of parents cheering, and the teammates calling for the ball. He smiled for a second, considering that he had led his team in scoring and assists and had some pretty good times talking smack with his teammates. Now, those warm summer days seemed like lifetimes ago, and it was only the second week in December. So much had changed in the last few weeks. Like a train, the changes had plowed through, seemingly destroying everything in its path. Maybe he was overthinking it. Who really cares? He thought to himself. I guess he forgot. He lied to himself, snapping to reality at the sound of movement from the hallway. Mom was finally home. He curled up in a ball on his bed, trying to look happy. Even though he knew it was coming, the soft knock at the door startled him. as he had been alone at home for the last 5 hours. Mom slowly opened the door and moved into his room, obviously forcing a smile. "How was your day?" she started. "Did you have enough for dinner?" "Where's Dad?" he replied. "I thought he was coming to get me." "He was supposed to, but I guess something came up. He called about an hour ago, but I thought you would have already eaten and settled in, so I didn't need to call you," she responded. "Got it. Thanks," Jeff sighed. He started to lean away from where she stood in the middle of the room. He grabbed a comic book and paged through it. "So, your day? How was it?" she tried again. "Fine. Good night, Mom." He stared at the book. His mother leaned over him and kissed his forehead. "Good night, Jeff." The door closed with a whispering huff, and Jeff was alone again. All right, so boys and girls, as you are writing your everyday scene, I want you to be thinking about, first of all, what scene are you going to write, and what do you want to convey in that scene? Remember, you're trying to convey a motivation or an obstacle, something about the conflict when you're writing these. And going back here, this is where you're going to write it. So at the top of your stream, you're going to see the everyday scene template. There's a little bit of instruction there. Oh, I'm going to have to open it up here. One moment, please. So the directions say, write your best version of an everyday scene. An everyday scene is like a test drive for your character. It could be any scene that would play out every day for your character, such as eating breakfast, lunch, or dinner, going to bed at night, waking up in the morning, getting ready for school. Basically, any scene that plays out day after day. Our focus in writing these everyday scenes is on elaboration, one of the critical attributes or skills that you're trying to master in your narrative writing. The writer developed the action, dialogue, details, and inner thinking to convey the issue, idea, or lesson or conflict within the actual scene or story. He showed what is specific about the central character. The writer developed the setting and the character's relationship to the setting. This is one of the things we focused on in the rubric when we worked on this on Tuesday, and we practiced with this. You're going to write your scene below this mark right here. You can start anywhere and just start typing away, typing. Okay. Best of luck to you. I will see you on Tuesday. Please email me with any questions that you might have, and have a great day.